All right, Tinkers, it's time to get to the main course of this Tinker kit, and that is the drum machine. I am so excited for you to make this mechanical music maker. And for this project, which is a little harder than some of our other projects, you're gonna need a bunch of things out of your kit, including the box itself. So maybe empty it out to create the drum for your drum machine. You're also gonna need all of the wood pieces, gears, cogs, these little round ones, these tabs. You're gonna need all those pieces except for those wooden legs you used on your Robo-Chariot. Break out all those laser cut pieces because you're gonna need them for this project. In addition to this half dowel, the pencil, some more rubber bands. What else do you need? Oh, of course, you're gonna need both popsicle sticks. These, my friend, will be the drum sticks for your drum machine. And anything else we need? Oh, let's see. If you want to motorize your drum machine, you're also gonna need the battery pack and the gear motor that you used in the earlier project. All right, let's get it together and see what kind of music we can make. The first thing I'm gonna do is take these two big pieces. They look like some kind of alien Tetris piece to me. Anyway, they're gonna fit into the slots on the back of your box, the one that has all of the sponsor logos on there. Thank you, sponsors. Let's go ahead and plug these in. I'm gonna put this guy right in there. See how that fits so nicely in there? And then I'm gonna put this other one on the opposite side with the hole at the top, all right? They should sit flush here so that they're not wobbling around too much, okay? Should look something like that, all right? Then I've got my dowel, and the dowel is gonna feed straight through here. It's a 3/8 inch half dowel, should fit perfectly right in there. And you'll notice that it spins nicely, even though it's a half dowel. Well, the reason we didn't go with a full round dowel is that we want to lock into place these two cogs. These will fit very snugly onto the dowel. So slide those in down to the middle of your dowel. Keep them equidistant, or the same space apart. Looking something like that. You got that? All right, looks good to me. And now I can feed this back in here. I might plug this little stopper on there first. Does that fit on there for you? Might be a little tight. There. That stopper should have a really snug fit. This is to make sure that as this spins in these holes, it doesn't fly off the end. Much better. All right, let's plug this into place. And there we go. Does that spin freely for you still? All right, yeah, pretty good. Now, this is where this piece comes in. You may have been wondering what this is all about. This is actually a hand crank. So for this drum machine, you can either go old school manual and crank it with your hand, or, and we'll do this together, we'll hook it up to our motor and have it a battery-powered drum machine. So I'm gonna add this to the end here. Does that look like your drum machine? And I can crank it by hand, right? Looking good. You can adjust the stopper as you need to keep the distances right. And last but not least, the big gear. The big gear is gonna fit on the opposite end, right here. I'm gonna attach that. Okay. And again, I'm gonna adjust my stopper so that it feels right. If those bits feel snug, that's a good thing. We just want the whole thing to be able to spin freely inside like that. All right? All right. So Next up, we can program our first rhythm. I'm just gonna put a couple of these tabs into the cogs. You notice they'll fit very snugly, just like that, all right? Get you a good angle on that, right? And these are gonna pluck our drumsticks. It's still spinning okay? All right. I've got one there, and I'm just gonna put one more of these tabs on the other side. Not thinking about it too much right now. I know that I'll have a chance to program different rhythms into my drum machine, so I'm just doing a really simple pattern. You decide which slots you want to plug those tabs into. You should have 8 of those, which will give you a lot of different combinations. And cool. We got that bit. Now we're going to attach the drumsticks. Alrighty. So I've got this guy right here, the pencil. The pencil is going to serve as a fulcrum, yeah, so that our drumsticks can lay nicely across. I'm going to go ahead and attach the drumsticks to the pencil crossways like this. All right, and you can use the small rubber bands for that. One of these guys. Let's see how that works. I might need to twist it. There we go. Kind of like that. And let's do that again with my other popsicle stick. It's gonna look like this. Alrighty. There we go. Now I've got 2 popsicle sticks attached to my pencil. Are you starting to imagine how it's all going to come together? All right, the next step, we need a few more rubber bands. So I'm just going to stretch this big one all the way around the box so that it crosses my popsicle sticks in front like that. Can you do that? And then I'm going to grab a second large rubber band, boop, and do that one more time. And this time, when I lay it over, I'm going to make a few adjustments here. I want to make sure that one of these rubber bands goes underneath the popsicle stick, right? And one of them goes on top, all right? So your rubber bands are going to twist a little bit, but it's going to hold those in place so they don't wiggle around too much here, all right? And I'm going to make a couple adjustments. Maybe move my pencil up a little bit closer to the edge of the box, and make sure that my popsicle sticks are lined up right underneath each cog. Alrighty, let's do a little test here and see if we can make our first rhythm by cranking the hand crank. There you go. Just a simple 4/4 time. All right? How did yours sound? We're going to take the next step and add a motor to motorize our drum machine. All right, let's attach our motor here. We've got this guy right here and a battery pack. What we're going to want to do is attach this here so that this small gear is going to drive this big gear, all right? And our motor is going to fit right in this slot, all right? It should be sized just perfectly to slide in underneath that tab right there. And we're going to need 2 zip ties to make this work, all right? I've got a big zip tie, and I've also got a small zip tie. Let's go ahead and attach these. First, I'm going to put my small gear onto this bit right here, and that looks like it's going to be good. Make sure there's a little bit of space between the gearbox and the motor so it doesn't snag on that little pip there. And sliding it back into place, I want to see how this is going to mesh together, right? Yeah, right? Just like that. And now I know where it is going to be positioned. I can attach my motor with this large zip tie, right? This is going to slide through this bit, okay? And it's going to go around your motor and come back on the other side, okay? Okay, you'll notice this piece is positioned so that when the end of my zip tie goes through, the end will not be in the way of the gear. Got that zipped up. Again, you want to make sure that the gear's going to be out of the way. And tighten that up. Okay. I'm going to move this up so this piece is, again, out of the way. I guess I could have done it with this on the other side as well. All right. We're still in good shape. I'm not seeing the zip tie in the way of the gear. So that's good. That's good news for us. All right. All right, that's nice and sturdy. And then I'm going to use one more zip tie to secure it at one more point. This might be a better view here. And I'm going to slide it through the little hole right there at the end of the gearbox. It's going to go around. And if your large gear is in the way, feel free to take that off. And we'll wrap this over the top. Cool. Nice and tight. We don't want it in the way. Does that feel sturdy? We don't want it to wobble at all. It's got to be really locked in tight. So make sure your zip ties are very secure. All right? And these batteries, which have been just hanging out kind of in the way for a while, they can actually go in underneath the rubber bands, okay? And you've got your switch here on the side. I'm going to leave that off for now. And sweet. It's looking better. Now, there's two things I want to point out when you're installing your motor. First of all, make sure that if your contacts are on the inside, that your black wire is coming out on top. And if your contacts are on the outside, make sure your black wire is on the bottom. That's going to make sure that your gear is turning in the correct way so that the large motor drives these in the right direction and flips like this. All right. You're also going to want to make sure that your cables are kind of tucked out of the way. So you can use that rubber band, just kind of trap them behind your coin holder, your battery holder. And that way they don't get caught in the gears. That would be catastrophic. So look out for those two things. Now, the position of your popsicle sticks is critical. They've got to be lined up exactly underneath the paddles. You're also going to want to think about how much of the popsicle stick is on the top side of the pencil and how much of it is coming down on this side of the pencil. The longer this side is, the harder it's going to be for your motor to flip that stick. So be aware, if your motor gets kind of bogged down trying to flick those drumsticks, you might want to increase the size of this area so that it's a little bit easier, right? That lever is a little bit easier for the motor to flip, all right? You can also make them shorter if you want to get a louder sound. As long as your motor can make that, do that work, you're going to have a nice loud drum machine, all right? Another thing to look out for is that you don't want these two to be wiggling around and traveling around. So just position or reposition your rubber bands to make sure that they're locked in place. Again, the lower that this rubber band is, closer to where the popsicle stick is striking the box, the harder it's going to be for the motor to perform. So you can always adjust these things if your motor gets bogged down. I'm just going to make a few little adjustments here. If you find your pencil is moving around a little bit, there's a couple things you can do. You can sharpen it and flip it around and poke it into that hole right there. Or one of the things I like to do is utilize all these paper clips I've got in my box, and I can lock it into place like that with a paper clip. That's a fun tinker way to get a little more stability there, okay? And yeah, I think we're ready to test out some more rhythms. Another fun way you can modify your drum machine is by playing around with timbre, or the quality of the sound. Right now you've got a popsicle stick just hitting a cardboard surface. But what if you put a little bit of foam on that surface to mute the sound of that drumstick? Or what if you attached one of those bells to the end of your drumstick? There's all different kinds of ways to change that timbre to get different effects with your rhythm. Put a little something on one drumstick and try a different timbre on the other one, and you get all different kinds of new sounds.